Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 230. I am Brendan. Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Interesting. We'll talk about that. I'm just gonna go over the fight. We're gonna break it down round by round. Give my scorecard. I guess I'm crazy. Whatever. We'll just go over that stuff real quick before we get started. Before you hate me even more, hit the like button before you see stuff that you know. I'm just kidding. If you do like this video, awesome. I have other stuff. I covered all the other fights this weekend, so go ahead and head over there if you like this kind of thing. If you like what I do, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos coming out. All right. This is my normal disclaimer for boxing. I am not a boxing expert, okay? Nor am I an MMA expert, but I have watched a lot of MMA, and I can break things down a lot easier in that sport because I have a ton of experience watching it and learning how they score, the scoring criteria, reading the scoring criteria, that kind of thing. I'm a lot better at doing that. So boxing is not my forte. I'll put that out there before I do this. So I might be coming off. Well, let's get into it. All right. Round one. Fury with the pressure early. Jake went in for a takedown. So Fury came out, guns blazing, runs across the ring, and just starts unloading, and Jake dives under and almost like lifts him up over the ropes is what it looked like. Jake was clinching a lot. That was going to be a pattern throughout this entire match. The jab from Tommy was working really well. Jake was jabbing to the body and then entering in the clinch. He just didn't do anything. Tommy did way better work in this first round for sure, and he actually unloaded with a little barrage of hooks at the end. Definitely a 10-9 round for him. Okay, so I had Fury up 10-9. Round two. Jake was unloading with those right hands and missing. Fury landed some decent jabs and some hooks. Jabs from both guys. Fury was kind of acting like a counter striker in the second round. He was waiting. He wasn't as aggressive. Close round. I leaned towards Jake with the bigger shots, but this one, right? I leaned with Jake because I thought that he landed more damage in here. But if you felt that the more impactful, and definitely the volume was still in the favor of Fury, right? Fury landed more volume. So if you want to give this round to him, alrighty then. That's fine. I actually understand that one. I could understand giving him that round. Okay, now moving on. I had it even going into the third round, though. That's how I had it. This third round, Fury was much more aggressive again. It was a nice, stiff, leaning jab from Jake. So he would lean in with this jab. I say nice as in it landed with some force, okay? It's not the most technical. It's a little strange, and he opens himself up for a lot of counters as well. Now, we'll talk about it later. Oh, it's in this round. Okay, good. So Fury with the jab and a three-piece combo. Beautiful from Fury. Great left hook from Fury. He was getting tagged a lot by that all the time. Overhand from Jake partially landed. There was a good uppercut from Tommy, and there should be more of those. So I've been saying it for the past 4 matches. Jake Paul ducks his head way too much. If someone can utilize the uppercut effectively, I know a lead uppercut is frowned upon because there's a ton of counters to it, right? And I know I am not an expert on the sweet science. I know I'm not. So I couldn't name all the counters, but I just know that from knowing MMA and striking in MMA, there are plenty of counters to a lead uppercut. It's a slower attack, especially if you're throwing it from the rear hand. It's a long time. It's a great defensive technique when someone is going in for a takedown in MMA. So someone who ducks down like a wrestler does, because that's what Jake was and that's what Jake is doing here, they are susceptible to that uppercut. In fact, they're even bringing their head down into the arm or into the hand, increasing the force on that punch. This third round, like I just watched it once, okay, but I felt like Jake landed the better shots in that round, so I had him up 29-28. But it could have been flipped. It could be 29-28 to Fury if you had him taking the second round, right? I watched this live. I was also talking to my friend while I was watching it, and I might have missed some things. Maybe Fury was landing more than I was noticing, but by God, the world wins, by the way, if you have me defending Jake Paul. I don't like him. I don't like him boxing. I don't think he's a good boxer. The fact that I'm having to defend him, like, you win, world. You just do, because there's no way in hell I'd ever thought I'd be on the side defending Jake Paul. Fourth round, Fury really aggressive again, throwing tons of hooks out there. There's a lot of volume from him, mostly misses, but a lot of volume, and he did land quite a bit. Fury doing a better job this round staying active, even if it wasn't all landing. Jake was landing a right to the body, and then a left up top with a big right hand to follow that up. I was calling that. I was actually mentioning this to my friend as we were watching it. I was like, dude, if Jake goes low to the body, right? Normally when he loads up, he ducks down. So we're not going to change that because all of his attacks come from that chamber. So he's going to duck down as if he's about to throw a giant bomb, that big overhand right. And if he just digs to the body, follows it up with a big left hook to the head, which he was landing all fight, it would be there for him, and it was beautiful. This is the round that he landed it. Tommy hit him right back in the head, in the back of the head, which was kind of stupid. But Tommy definitely won the fourth round here, so I had it even going into the fifth. Right? I didn't think it was so one-sided in any one of these rounds that I could clearly call it for anybody, but it was just as I was watching it live, this is how I scored it. Round 5, Jake was jabbing hard and landing really well. Both landed right hands, but Tommy followed it up better. There was a point deduction for Paul for hitting in the back of the head. There was a nice left hook landing hard, and Fury looked wobbled in this round. Okay, that's why I gave this round to Paul. But because of that point deduction, I thought Paul did better. So that's a 9-9 round, and that means it was 47-47 going into the sixth round for me. Jake did not allow Fury to have his normal fast start in the sixth round. There was an uppercut from Fury that landed 1 point from Fury for holding, which is, again, was stupid. I don't know why the referee did that. I don't think he held hard enough to get a point deduction, but great. Paul landed a good left hook, but that was Fury's round. Sixth round was clearly Fury's. Okay, that one I could call clearly for Fury, but because he got that point deduction, that's a 9-9 round. So I had it 56-56 going into round 7. Jake rushed out this round. He wasn't able to land much in the clinch. Both guys were landing well to the body. Nice right hand from Paul. Nice right hands from Fury. He threw 3 straight rights in a row and landed them all. They were great. Tommy landed well and had more volume yet again. This was Fury's round. I had him up 66-65. So I could also see if you had it 67-65, I could understand that as well. Last round here, great left hand from Jake to start. Jake was swinging really big, and then he landed this that jab again when Fury was off balance that caused a knockdown. That's a legitimate knockdown, okay? He did not trip. He didn't trip. They were not anywhere near each other. He didn't push him over. It was a knockdown. Was it so forceful that he lost his wherewithal and he didn't know where he was? Absolutely not. He was off balance, but that's still a knockdown. You have to keep your feet underneath you, right? So it's still a knockdown. So it's a 10-8 round for Paul right there, and he has to lose it. So I thought that Jake did enough in this round, even though Tommy was swinging really well. He landed some nice uppercuts. He finally threw that uppercut again. But that knockdown, I thought you're supposed to give him a 10-8 if they get a knockdown, but I guess because if you lose the round, it's a 9-8, or a 9-9, a 9-8 round for whatever it might be. I had a 10-9 for Paul, giving me my total of a 75-74 for Jake Paul. I thought they were going to make it a draw, so that they would have a guaranteed. But I didn't have the commentary on very loud, and again, I was talking, so I didn't hear that Paul has a rematch clause, so there was no need for the draw. Anyway, 76-73 for Fury. I can see it. All you have to do is give 2 rounds. All you have to do is give 2 of those rounds to Fury. I saw some scorecards out there that had it 75-74 for Fury. I saw some out there that were 76-73. And here's the thing: just because the right guy won doesn't mean the scorecards are correct. Okay, you can't just dismiss that kind of stuff. We've seen it all the time in MMA when there's a 30-27, when there was clearly a round that didn't go the winner's direction. That's still a bad scorecard, even though they got the decision correct, right? So, in my opinion, do I think I missed something based off of how everybody's reacting? Possibly. I think I'm not going to sit on here and tell you that I am going to sit here to the death and fight for Jake Paul. there was a couple rounds in that, like I was wishy-washy on that second round. So if you give that to him, we're already talking 75-74 in favor of Fury. Okay, so 75-74 for Fury makes sense. In fact, I could convince myself of that just by going back and watching that second round again. Do you see what I'm saying? So a 75-74 for Jake Paul isn't that crazy. I don't think I'm that crazy to call it that way. Whether you think it's right or wrong based off of what I saw live. Again, I'm not watching replays and scoring. Here's another thing. By the way, if you obviously if you turned off, you're not here anymore. But if you're still here and listening to me and just getting really angry, try to remember. I watched this live and scored it live before replays were played. Right? I am not scoring this with the benefit of looking at the replays and seeing how much damage was done. I'm not watching each round over and over again to score them. I scored it one time after the round was over, and I try to act as if I were a judge in that situation. So, with that being said, again, I'm not going to sit here and try to defend my scorecard and tell you that I'm right and you're wrong, because I don't think that's the case. I think there's plenty in this match that you can go either way, and absolutely, like I said, even myself, I could have had this 75-74 for Fury. In fact, I could have just lied to everybody and told you that I scored it for Fury 75-74, and then been in the same direction as everybody else. But that's not how I scored it. Okay. I'm not going to come out here and just discuss my wins when I get things right. I'll tell you why I did it, and I'll tell you why I think it's right, and I'll defend myself like that. But I'm not so attached to it to where it's a part of my person or my personality or who I am. So like I don't care if you think I'm wrong, that's fine. Just tell me what you thought you saw or what you saw. Tell me what you saw, not what you thought you saw. Tell me what you saw and why you think I'm wrong. And that's okay. I would love to have a civilized discussion about that. I mean that. I really do. So tell me in the comments down below. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that Fury definitely won this. Give me your scorecards. Let me know how you score them. Let me know why you score them that way. Absolutely, especially in the rounds that were up for grabs. I would say particularly the last round, how you scored it. Maybe you gave it a 9-8. No, because that you would take a point off of there. So it has to be. Anyway, so give me your 8th round, your 2nd round, maybe your 3rd round. The 4th round I thought was pretty close because after that it was all, I think, back and forth pretty well. Anyway, that's it. I just want to go my closing thoughts on this. Let's go with the Jake Paul experiment, and we'll talk about what we think. Obviously, there's going to be a rematch because he had a rematch clause, so Fury signed it, and if he doesn't, I'm guessing there's going to be some sort of fine. That would be my guess. So if Fury wants to avoid it, to avoid further embarrassment, but further embarrassment. Here's what's happening. Okay, based off what I can tell, normally this stuff happens in boxing all the time, where you have two guys who have raw talent and some skills are undefeated, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, and they verse each other early on. Now, usually what'll happen is somebody's protected, right? They don't allow someone who is 6-0 to fight someone of their caliber. They keep having them fight somebody who is clearly below them, but has a skill that your boxer needs to work on. So if your boxer's really been bad about guarding the left side of his body, and you know that the guy he's going to box, or you want to set him up with a boxer who's got a really good hook to the a right hook to the body. So, but you know that your boxer is way more athletic, bigger, younger, faster, stronger. He can beat him in all other categories. He's got a good chin, and he can beat him everywhere else. It's just that this guy's really good at digging to the body, and you want your boxer to work on that in real time. That's a great test for him. It puts another name on his record, and he gets experience fighting with to learn to reduce his weaknesses. Right. Well, normally, I'm sure in the boxing world you have two undefeated fighters going against each other. The biggest difference here is it's televised and it's more popular than a lot of other boxing that's going on. So what you're getting is fighters who are jealous. maybe jealous, maybe not the right word. They feel that Jake Paul has not earned what he has. Like, he didn't earn this. He didn't earn this spot. He shouldn't be on the marquee. Like, this is a amateur boxer or very raw professional boxer with almost no boxing skills. And he should not be headlining. But he has his opportunity, and that doesn't sit well with people. And then you have Tommy Fury, who has been working his whole life to be a boxer, and he's not up to snuff yet. He's 23 years old, and he just doesn't have the skills to be a really hardened professional yet. So I think if this went down, get rid of the names. Let's get rid of the names. Let's make it Joe Smith versus Jack. Jack Johnson was a boxer, though. Joe Smith versus Jack Terry. Fucking whatever. It's like just some random guys with the same records and the same skill level fighting on some random undercard of a boxing match that is barely televised. Would there be the same level of disgust, shame, anger, jubilation, I would say, to see him lose? Would there be the same amount of all that? Absolutely. I could just tell you now, no, there wouldn't be, because nobody would be interested in it. So I think that's part of what we're seeing here is people have attached their identity to boxing as a whole. We saw it when MMA moved in, right? When MMA first became popular in the mid 90s, and then it really started to take off in the late 90s and the early 2000s, and then after The Ultimate Fighter, and it blew up after that. We saw this resistance from the boxing community, like, oh, that's not real fighting. A boxer could always kick these guys' ass, and oh, their striking's horrible, and oh, this and oh, that. Like, people forget. Like, I wasn't even that old back then, but you can go back and watch clips. They were not receptive. ESPN, forget it. ESPN Plus now has the UFC, but back then, ESPN, any of these mainstream channels, they wouldn't touch that with a 20-foot pole. They would just bash it. Anytime they would have a pundit on, they would bash MMA. Talking about, oh, this isn't a sport. This isn't real. This is garbage. And oh, this is just this is male cockfighting, and oh, blah, blah, blah. Right? Do you remember how that went? And I understand it's not an exact one-to-one here, but that happened, and the boxing community was so resistant to it. But look where we are now. Clearly, MMA is a sport. If you don't want to call it a sport, it's a competition at least, and it's entertainment. It's people enjoy it. There is a lot of skill that goes into it. It's not just random bullshit. Jiu-jitsu, grappling has taken off since then. There's just been a huge amount of growth, and it's still, I think, one of the fastest growing sports in the world. So I know that's not the exact same thing, because they're not trying to create a new sport here, but it's similar in that you have an outsider moving into the same space, right? You have somebody coming who didn't come up in the field, didn't come up in the space, didn't pay their dues traditionally in Jake Paul, and he's using his publicity and his fame to kind of come along and catapult him into and he had some clown show stuff, boxing like Nate Robinson and KSI and stuff like that. I know Logan did that as well. And he's boxing guys who have never boxed a day in their life. And at that time, Jake had also never boxed a day in his life. So you see what I'm saying? Like, people want to ascribe their hard feelings or their hard work and their feelings and their belief system onto someone else. And if someone else doesn't share those same things, they instantly dislike or have a distaste for everything that they're doing, regardless of what it is. And yes, is Jake Paul the most likable guy? Fuck no. I don't like him. I think he's worked really hard. I've come around to the fact that it looks like he's taking this seriously. But the stupid crap that he says and like the people he talks, like, I don't like any of that stuff. Like, I don't. It's not my thing. I'm not into this kind of culture. That's not my thing. And I'm not going to defend him for what he's done or the way he's talked or anything like that. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that he doesn't deserve what he has. Clearly he does. People want it. Like, yeah, Disney gave him a platform initially, and then he became famous on YouTube and his brother on Vine and that kind of crap. But the thing is, he's done all this and he's put in the work, and now he wants to he's trying to take himself seriously for whatever that means. And people don't like it. People don't like it. You can see it. Even fighters, like some of these MMA fighters, some of these guys in the UFC, who are kind of downing this, they were really upset that he beat Anderson Silva and really upset that he beat Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren, right? They're so upset about it because, he doesn't even deserve to be in there. 20 years ago, everybody in boxing was saying the same thing about you. Okay? They're saying you don't belong in here. You don't belong here. Hell, until Conor McGregor boxed Floyd Mayweather, most people wouldn't even entertain the fact or entertain an MMA fighter going into boxing, like a high-level boxing match. We've seen boxers cross over into MMA with mixed results. But the biggest difference here is now they're the establishment. The UFC is part of the establishment, and the people who are a part of the UFC are downplaying it. I mean, Dana White did it. I mean, Dana White's a promoter, so he's going to always kind of shit on other people unless they want to be on board with his shenanigans. So kind of just take a step back, kind of detach yourself, because I'm not so attached to this scorecard, all right? Like I said, I scored it for him, but I could see a scorecard. In fact, I agree with a scorecard that gives it 75-74, maybe even 76-73 for Fury. Okay? Totally understand that. I can see it. Maybe I even agree with it. We go back and we want to analyze. It's just not how I scored it. That's when I was scoring it live. That's just not how I scored it. Maybe I missed a punch that you saw that I didn't, and that made the difference for me. Maybe I'm grading some of the punches a little higher than you are. So be it. You don't like my scorecard? Fine. Tell me why. But take a step back real quick. Detach yourself from the situation and your feelings on the individuals involved. Because I can tell you that from a Jake Paul fan, who I know a couple who are Jake Paul fans, the guy can do no wrong. They don't care. So I guarantee you they're upset right now that he lost this. And they're having the same reaction, but on the opposite side. Okay? So with all that, I'll just leave it on there. Just be nice. Okay? Not even just to me. You want to be an asshole, that's fine. You can be an asshole in the comments, call me stupid, or say I'm blind, whatever. Absolutely. You go for it. But just be nice. Like, don't get in arguments tomorrow about this shit. Don't disown people. Don't tell them they're dumb because they don't know what they're seeing. Just be nice about it. All right. I'm going to call it on that one. If you're looking for my actual stuff that I cover regularly, I cover MMA. So I covered the UFC event from this weekend, the ONE FC from Friday, the Bellator event from this weekend. I covered all of the fights. All the fights in UFC. I did the main cards for ONE FC and Bellator this weekend. So go ahead and check those out if you like that stuff. Subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. I really do. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Even if you disagree with me, you made it this far. It means a lot. Thank you. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I love y'all.